Uncovering the best 10 tips for drivers. You've finally gotten your driver's license and can't wait to hit the open road. But before you start driving, there are a few basic maneuvers you should know. Here's a pre-drive checklist to help you get started. 1. Make sure your car is in good condition. Check the oil level, tire pressure, and brakes before you start driving. 2. Get familiar with the controls of your car. Make sure you know how to turn on the lights, windshield wipers, and heater/air conditioner. 3. Adjust your seat and mirrors. You should be able to sit up straight with your hands on the steering wheel at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. The mirrors should be positioned so that you can see clearly behind and to the sides of your car. 4. Buckle up. For more driver education tips, study guides, and permit exam information, subscribe and click the links below. Safe driving tips. Drive the speed limit and maintain a constant speed. Obey all road signs that you see. Steer smoothly. Hold onto the steering wheel with both hands at all times. Follow at a safe distance. Use the 3 seconds rule. Don't stop too closely to the vehicle in front of you when you need to come to a stop. You should be able to see the tires of the car in front of you. Do not cross solid lines, as this will result in an instant and automatic fail. Always look over your shoulder before changing lanes and be sure to use your blinker. Only change lanes when you are absolutely certain that it is safe. Watch for school buses. If the bus is pulled over to the side of the road and their lights are flashing, do not pass. Use your turn signals. It helps let other drivers know what you are planning on doing. For more driver education tips, subscribe and click the links below. Before you get behind the wheel, it's important to do a quick check of the vehicle. This will help ensure a smooth ride and avoid any potential problems. Here's a quick checklist to follow. Know your way around the vehicle. Become familiar with all the controls so you can operate them without thinking. This includes the gas pedal, brakes, turn signals, and windshield wipers. Check the tires. Make sure they're properly inflated and have enough tread. Balding tires can cause poor handling and increase your stopping distance. Inspect the mirrors and adjust them so you have a clear view of what's behind you. Adjust your seat so you're comfortable and in a good position to reach all the controls. You should be able to see over the steering wheel without difficulty. Fasten your seatbelt. For more driver education tips, study guides, and permit exam information, subscribe and click the links below. If you live in an urban area, chances are you share the road with pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorists on a daily basis. While it can be tempting to view these different groups as adversaries, it's important to remember that we're all just trying to get where we're going safely. Here are some tips for how each group can share the road responsibly. Pedestrians. Use sidewalks and crosswalks whenever possible. If there is no sidewalk, walk facing traffic. Be aware of your surroundings and don't assume the drivers can see you. Never dart out into the street. Bicyclists. Ride in the same direction as traffic. Obey all traffic signals and signs. Use hand signals to indicate when you are turning. For more driver education tips, study guides, and permit exam information, subscribe and click the links below. When it comes to driving, we often take our ability to do so for granted. But what happens when we can no longer physically or mentally meet the demands of driving? That's why it's important to ask yourself, are you fit to drive? As we age, our physical and mental abilities change. And while some changes are normal, others may make driving more difficult, and more dangerous. To help you stay safe on the road, here are some things to consider as you manage your driving risks. Are your reflexes slower than they used to be? Do you have difficulty seeing at night or in low light conditions? Do you have any medical conditions that could affect your ability to drive safely? Are you taking any medications that could impair your driving? For more driver education tips, study guides, and permit exam information, subscribe and click the links below. The following physical and mental prerequisites must be met by a driver. Physical and health requirements. The absence of any of the following conditions: fatigue, physical capacity required to operate a vehicle, health conditions that could cause a driver to lose control or become immobile while driving. Sensory requirements. Visual, auditory, and tactile faculties are all intact. Mental requirements. the capacity to process sensory information, the capacity for concentration, emotional and mental stability, the capacity to recognize a potential driving hazard, consider it, come to a sound conclusion, and respond correctly to each circumstance. When it comes to being a safe driver, it's not just about the car you're driving or the conditions of the road. It's also about being physically and mentally fit to drive. Here are some tips on how to make sure you're always fit to drive, and how to manage risks while on the road. Being physically fit to drive means having the strength, coordination, and stamina to handle the demands of driving. If you have a chronic health condition or take medication that could affect your driving, be sure to talk to your doctor before getting behind the wheel. Mentally, being a safe driver means being alert and focused at all times. If you're tired, stressed, or distracted, pull over and take a break. For more driver education tips, study guides, and permit exam information, subscribe and click the links below. When we think about being fit to drive, we often think about our physical fitness and ability to operate a vehicle. However, there's more to being a safe driver than just being physically able to drive. Our mental and emotional health also play a big role in our ability to safely operate a car. Permanent or long-term impairments can have a significant impact on our ability to drive. These impairments can include things like vision problems, hearing loss, cognitive decline, and more. While some of these impairments can be managed with the help of adaptive devices or by making changes to our driving habits, others may require us to give up driving altogether. It's important to be honest with ourselves about our abilities and limitations when it comes to driving. If we're not fit to drive, we put ourselves and others at risk. For more driver education tips, study guides, and permit exam information, subscribe and click the links below. 3 Texting and driving Q&As. Is texting and driving illegal? 48 states ban texting and driving for all drivers, with exceptions in Montana and Wyoming. The penalties for texting while driving can range from fees to tickets, license suspension and loss, or even criminal charges, depending on the severity of the situation. How much is a texting and driving ticket? The cost of a ticket for texting while driving varies by state. In general, you can expect to pay between $20 to $500 or more if you're caught texting and driving. How many people die from texting and driving? According to the most recent NHTSA data, 396 people were killed in 2020 as a direct result of accidents caused by texting and driving. That amounts to more than 1 death per day as a result of texting while driving. That same year, tens of thousands of others were injured as a direct result of texting and driving. Carbon monoxide is a gas that can cause serious health problems, including death, when inhaled. Even small amounts of carbon monoxide can be dangerous, and the risk increases with exposure. Drivers should be aware of the risks of carbon monoxide poisoning and take steps to protect themselves and their passengers. There are several things drivers can do to reduce the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. First, they should make sure their car is in good working order and that there are no leaks in the exhaust system. Second, they should never leave the engine running while parked in an enclosed space, such as a garage. Finally, they should be aware of the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning and get out of the car if they start to feel dizzy or nauseated. Drivers need to be fit to drive a car. For more driver education tips, study guides, and permit exam information, subscribe and click the links below.